Hey you, welcome to the I Feel You podcast presented by Project Feel. I am your host, Eddie Wise, and this is season 2. As most of you may know, we do 2 versions of this podcast. There's audio, so you find that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, everywhere podcasts are found. And we also have very special visual versions on our YouTube. If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to our Patreon. You get some pretty cool perks, such as getting these episodes 2 weeks early. So again, thank you so much for watching and enjoy the episode. All right. Welcome, Max.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here, man.
Appreciate you for coming out and being on the show. And just making your way out here to be in this space. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
And this is my first time meeting you. And it's been like 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, really. It was a quick meetup, but it's organic, so I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited to do this. For people who don't know, this is Max. He is the founder of the WAVYPACK, and we have been following you guys for a little while now, and vice versa, I think.
Absolutely.
So I mean, go ahead and tell them about what you've done, what you do now, and
Yeah, to not make it seem so long-winded, I started doing media work shortly after I got out of high school. This was 2007, so I'm kind of dating myself here.
That's okay.
And I've been in that space for a really long time. I really decided to do media publication work when we all used to rap.
Nice,
we all used to make
For
music, and getting on publications, trying to get them to play your music or even feature you was a really difficult thing to do at that time.
Yeah.
You either had to have a crazy buzz or have like a major label backing you to get on these spaces, or have somebody in that blog space that knew you directly.
For sure.
So we started our own just to feature ourselves.
Nice, yeah.
Maybe a little vain at the time, but we just kind of knew at that point that, if we wanted to be heard and get our stuff out, that we had to do it ourselves.
For sure.
During that time it transitioned. We stopped caring about, like rapping and stuff like that. And we just wanted to be in that media space, and we started a magazine shortly afterwards. This was called the Fresh Committee.
That's a cool name. Okay.
Yeah, the Fresh Committee was around since 2007. That's initially when we launched the domain.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when we sold it, part of the clause was to keep it up.
Interesting.
Part of the clause was to keep it up so it doesn't lose domain authority. But unfortunately, that site is no longer in existence. So,
oh, man.
Yeah, but, and this was recent. I think I had checked 2.5 weeks ago, and it was no longer online. And
no way. So that was a part of a part of the deal on their end, was that they had to keep it up if you were to sell it to them.
That is correct.
Man,
and
that's
so
tough.
They decided, I guess, I don't know, not to honor that. So it wasn't a big deal. We got paid out for it, but I loved that site. I spent 20 plus years doing it. And then shortly afterwards, during the pandemic, I knew I needed to start something else because I was kind of lost. I told myself, I don't know what I want to do next. And ironically, I'm a Kappa. So one of my boys who recently passed, Kyle, God rest his soul, he had given me the idea for WAVYPACK a long time ago.
Okay.
He wanted to do a rap group called
Nice.
WAVYPACK, and at the time for me in college, it sounded so corny. I didn't even like the name at all.
Yeah.
But when he passed right before the pandemic started, I just kind of thought of the idea of bringing something back, and I don't know. I guess he gave me something from the future because I ended up using that name.
Nice.
So that's how I got the name.
Wow,
and,
that's beautiful.
Stuck with it. So yeah.
Oh man, that's an incredible origin to that name. I mean, it's when you think about titles or what you come up with for a business, I feel like most of the time in the moment it's man, I just it feels weird.
Yeah.
But it really is about what you put behind it.
Absolutely.
And the energy you put on it and around it. That's more important than just the name, because you could have the most ridiculous name for in the world, and if you have the right the proper energy behind it, then it always works. So
Absolutely.
that's dope. That's dope. Yeah. Rest in peace to Kyle, you said?
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Kyle.
That's my boy. So.
So how did you meet? How do we know you? How did we meet Project Feel?
I actually, working at Apple, for a while. Ended up meeting great dude Anthony.
Yeah.
That's my guy. And, you know, like I initially, when I moved from Portland to New York, you know, like there's not a lot to do after you retire. You kind of tell yourself like, what am I going to do? So when you're this age, you're not put in those same spaces to make friends like you were younger when
For sure.
you have school or, you know, things like that where you can just like meet people. So I told myself I need to find a place where I can meet some amazing people. And on my way from Portland, I applied to Apple. And by the time that I landed, they said that I had an interview. And so
man.
It was just kind of like, it was just kind of like meant to be. The weird thing about it was after I met Anthony, we had met over this Final Cut project for work. And and so he was telling me that he got into that. Yeah. And I saw you guys on Instagram, but had no idea who you guys were.
Interesting.
I guess my friend Samantha had posted something that she had did with you guys. And I was just trying to figure out who are these people? Yeah. You know, I'm trying to figure out who are these people. Couldn't get a pin on it. And then Anthony, like at work one time told me, like I run this thing with a few of my friends called Project FEEL. And I was just like, what? That's you guys? And so it just all started to make sense. I was like, okay. And then ever since then, we kind of wanted to collaborate. And we're actually working on, some top secret.
Yeah.
Stuff
I don't even, it's real top secret. Yeah. I don't even know about it.
We're working on some stuff. So we got some stuff in the works. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. It's funny because that's exactly how Franco, the guy he was here right now, but I don't know if you've met him or do you know of him? Have you seen him on the page and stuff?
I've seen his stuff. Very talented dude.
He's super talented. Yeah, he is we're both from Orlando. Okay. And it kind of happened the same way. Like Franco on the way to New York he was moving to New York. He got the interview with Apple too. Yeah. And it kind of happened the same way where he just got the job and that's where he met Anthony.
You guys are from Orlando?
Yeah, we're from Orlando, Florida.
Yo, my dad lives in Orlando right now.
No way.
Yeah, my dad lives like Altamont Springs area.
Yeah, I love
right near
it's a nice area actually.
Yeah, so
small
world.
It is a really small world, especially when I feel like I meet people from Florida at Apple specifically all the time. And it's an interesting place. Have you been recently or did you ever
last time
there?
I went to Orlando was this was the summer of 2016. So it's been a while.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Well, that's a different world. Yeah. I was there.
It was definitely a different space back then. But I have a few friends out there. Nice. Some of my boys went to Lake Brantley. So Orlando. Yeah.
That's sick.
Definitely know about that space.
That's dope. That's dope. Nice. So I love that so many of the connections that we have are so similar in the way that we make them. And it's always so fruitful when you're paying attention, when you're listening. Yeah. I feel like that's what Anthony does super well. Is that like I feel like you talk to him and he's really good at just like hearing you out and supporting you in whatever you're doing. So I'm glad you guys met for sure. So you're doing, of course, the WAVYPACK right now, which, by the way, beautiful website. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's really incredible. You have so many articles on there. Yeah. So many wonderful things. I was taking a look at and I'm assuming that not all of the opinions on the website are going to be yours wholly, right? Because, there's a lot of different people on there. Yeah. But the album review section was fun. That's a fun one because there was some in there. I was like, okay, I don't know, but you know, I respect it.
That's definitely been a huge area of I think wholesome debate. Yeah. Because,
for sure.
Because one of my boys, his name is Cam Jenkins. He is a huge critic, but not just a critic. He's a huge appreciator of the art form. He's
a genuine professional critic, like someone who actually.
Yeah, he made me, realize something this was 2017 or 2018. Okay. Cam is super analytical, and so he had went back and looked at all the reviews on Pitchfork and different sites. Wow. And he's like, Max, I just want to explain to you something. There's no way in the world in 2017 or 2018 that there's only 5 bad reviews for all the albums that came out. He's just like, there's no way. And he's just like, and I'm not looking for the bad, but I think people need to be a little more honest. Yeah, for sure. Not just because you're a fan, you have to also look at it from the perspective of how do they create music and what is the substance behind what they're creating. And Cam looked at all of those things. And so when he rates certain albums, the scale is weird for people because people think that a 6.9 is a bad score.
It's like really bad. Yeah.
And it's not a bad score.
Yes.
6.9 is not a bad score. That's considered positive.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, a 6.9 is a D or,
it's like, oh my God, you hate that album?
You know what I'm saying? And so that's not what it is. It's anything, and it was a weird scale initially, but when he explained it to me, it really started to make sense. And I was like, okay, we're going to get a lot of contention here. But yeah.
I appreciate that immensely because, and I noticed that when I first started looking at it, I was going through and I was like, wow, there's some really good ones that have like, good scores, but like not what you usually see.
Yeah.
And I love that because that's a genuine way to critique. So when people get a general sense, like you can kind of you see certain albums that are critically acclaimed and they have a certain score. You're like, okay, I can see where you're ballparking. Like I can see that there's no album that has like, that's perfect. Right. And then I can see that there's some that I would be like, oh, that's a really good album, but they're like 8 or 9. And I'm like, interesting. Cause like most critics would give like an 8 or 9 to like a decent album. Yeah. Like, it's like, I liked it, but it wasn't great. Right. But he's giving like, it is so, I love, my favorite one is that Justin Bieber has a 1.5, bro.
I couldn't make it up.
I've never seen a 1.5 as a rating out of 10. It's so great.
And when I asked him, because I was really surprised, because I was just like, they're probably going to see this, right?
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, but his thing was, it's like, there's a reason why people are complacent in music. It's because they know they're not going to get something. For instance, I'll use this for example. And I say this, Drake is one of my favorite artists.
He's great. He's talented.
Lately, Cam, and this is what Cam expressed to me, he's just like, when an artist is that big and they're doing that well, they have nothing else to prove. Yeah, unless they care about the art form purely for themselves. Is once you get into that coasting position, you give people exactly what you feel like they want, not what they need. Yeah. And that was something that, like, I asked him, do you think we're going to get a great, great project like a Take Care from Drake again? He's just like, Drake has to lose a lot in order for that to happen. And for me, that was kind of like, it makes sense. He's just like, and then he went on to say, like, the only reason we got My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is because Kanye was put against the wall. Yeah. And so certain artists, the best projects come from, some kind of
adversity.
Yeah, adversity or tragedy or something like that. And, it kind of made sense. For me, I was sitting there, I was just like, okay, I trust your vision. I understand where you want to go with this. And so, the scale makes sense, and for me, I think just being honest about how we appreciate certain art forms. Yeah. Even if Justin Bieber needs to get 1.5, like, so be it. Like, hey.
I when I saw that, I was like, I haven't even listened to it, but I believe this guy. Yeah. I understand. He gave CLB a 5. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I can see why it's there. There's some tracks on there that are incredible, like some 6 shit. Like, I think 7 a.m. on Bridle Path, like he went dummy on that track, right? But that I can see where he's like where he's going with that. Anyway, I could talk all day about that just that page alone, just that section. Okay. Yeah. But no, I really do appreciate that website. It's incredible. And I guess talk about like, because I honestly don't know much about that kind of world, the blogging, the articles, the kind of like journalism aspect of it, because it's a lot of really great journalism, a lot of articles on there about everything. So fashion, media, you got shoes on there, you got talk on sports, you have the more popular conversations going on out there that are happening on that site. I guess like talk about how you maintain all of that.
I mean, you turn into a machine, man. That's really what it it comes down to is you become a machine and you try to make sure that there's always something relevant. Our thing was to always post relevant content, because when I initially was running the Fresh Committee, we were posting everything. That means mainstream artists, food, like there were so many different categories. And so I got used to that, and so managing large ranges of content on a large scale and even having to scale it out as wide as we do, you just have to be interested in it. And these are all the things I knew it would work, because these are all the things that I'm interested in.
Yeah, for sure. You care about it.
Yeah. And so for me, it never felt like work. I actually remember the night that I did WavyPack. WavyPack was built in technically a day.
Nice.
It was June 11th. I
Okay.
remember, and there's the receipts for it. You can always check to see when a domain got registered.
Yeah.
But June 11th of 2020.
Okay.
And managing all of this content was, for me, it was just like, yo, these are all things that I'm interested in. So I just started writing. The first things that I wrote were like, I wrote 7 editorials and a bunch of sneaker posts.
Nice.
And so
okay.
that's how it all started.
Yeah.
And so initially when WavyPack started, it just had, original content and sneakers.
Nice.
And I decided to not post mainstream artists anymore. This was the night I said, okay, I don't want to Post anybody who's already popular, who's already famous, because they don't need the traction from us anymore.
For sure.
You don't need to find out when Drake dropped a new album.
Because
you go on your Spotify, you're already going to know.
They tell you everywhere. Yeah.
Exactly. It's going to be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I started to focus on were those artists that were not getting that traction, that were amazing. And there's a bunch of them. Don Dre, he's here in Brooklyn. There's Lou M from Cali. And all these people are kind of sleeping on these artists only because they haven't been put in their faces. And so that's where I wanted to transition and kind of give them that light. So.
That's beautiful. I love that. It's very similar energy to Project Feel as well. In the sense that everything that we do is like, it's local art or we're just like not the mainstream stuff. Which is cool. And it's also tough. Like I can only imagine with the range of content that you guys create, how difficult it is to get people to like stick around and like actually pay attention to the content. Because a lot of the times when there's a reason why people only talk about the mainstream artists is because that's the easiest way to get the most attention.
That is correct.
Because there's a lot of people that just consume content kind of like daily without really thinking about it too much, and they're not really concerned about finding new artists or finding out who's hot on the block and stuff like that. They're just kind of like, who's causing the most drama right now and why is it so interesting? You know what I'm saying? So I can't imagine, like, I guess speak to like the difficulty of being dedicated to platforming artists that you care about.
I think one of the hard parts is getting people to understand how good they really are. I say everything is about perspective, and for most people, I was watching the Kanye documentary. And what stood out to me in that documentary is that he always, like, as corny as it sounds, he always believed in what he was doing more than anybody else. And that was really something that stood out, because when he was playing All Falls Down in several rooms, nobody was paying attention. But that's one of his biggest records to date. And it goes to show you, it's one of those things, don't let anybody tell you that you don't got it when you know you got it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was, for me, telling these artists that, like, you guys are great. You guys are legends right now. It's just a matter of getting people to actually see that.
For sure.
And so once they get that feeling like, oh, this is going to work, this might actually do something, because these guys believe in it. You see this change in their demeanor, almost like, oh, there's people who actually believe in me. I'm not just doing this. Shout out to Breon Waleed, one of the artists that we recently featured when I first started WavyPack. And love this kid, so great at what he does. And he was always super grateful to us for posting his stuff, because he was just like, yo, a lot of people didn't even believe that I could really do this. And just seeing that there was a website that actually cared about my craft as well kind of put a battery in his back. I think he's super talented. I definitely think you guys should look out for him.
For sure.
There's a bunch of artists out here.
Let's go.
Just go on the indie spotlight section of wavypack.com.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. I really do appreciate that immensely. It's like, it goes beyond, it just goes beyond compassion at that point. Like, it's just so great, especially when it's by a site, when you guys are like focused on the art and just the importance of it. With all the pages that you have, it seems like there's like a really, there's a genuine passion behind that machine. Like, you call it like, we got to build a machine so that this keeps going, but it's like behind that in the heart of that machine, there's like genuine compassion for what you guys talk about.
There's
and what
a
we
big
do.
heart in the robot.
Yeah. Which
Most
is great.
certainly. Yeah. There's a big heart in the robot, and even when managing all this content, because at the end of the day, it's still a business. One of the things that I have to be mindful for is the analytical data that comes with it. That's the hard part of managing the machine.
Yes,
is
for
the
sure.
analytics that go behind it. Understanding, for a lot of you guys probably won't know this, but understanding what a bounce rate is. How long do people stay on a particular article? Is it interesting?
Yeah.
If the bounce rate is too high, there's something that we probably need to change.
Okay.
And paying attention to those small things. I've always said that WAVYPACK, it is very much so like water. It constantly changes and shifts. The reviews never stay the same. That's another thing people may not notice.
Interesting.
We'll take another listen over the course of several months and may change the score, based on how we feel in those moments. So nothing is concrete on that website. It's always, subject to change. And I think change is good for everybody.
For sure.
And no opinion stays exactly the same. And so that's where I feel like WAVYPACK does a really great job, is being able to shift towards the culture and not let the culture move us in a way that we don't want to go. So.
For sure. Agree. That's beautiful. And I guess to speak on that heart a little bit as well. It seems like you manage a pretty good team, like a big team. Is it like huge, or is it, because I honestly have no idea how many people you have behind the scenes, but like it seems like it's pretty.
As of right now, there's 40 people.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 40 people for WAVYPACK.
That's incredible.
I had been managing this for the last 2 years. I recently just took that hat off, and now that's run by my guy Brandon.
Oh, nice.
So cool. He's my director of operations right now, and so he helps take care of like all the stuff that I used to do daily, like getting up, checking
the
emails.
hard part. The hard part, man. The daily stuff is where it's at.
Yeah, the business part, and so he's creating access for certain people, removing access, doing things like that, and so Brandon's been a huge help in that regard.
That's awesome.
I could go down the list. There's Wanda, there's AJ, who's the president. There's so many people. I'm sorry if I forget you guys. There's so many.
You said 40 people, man.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Dylan McPherson, who is probably one of the most amazing writers in the sense of like entertainment writing. This man cares about entertainment like nobody that I've ever known, and it's the scale of how he writes. He's very opinionated, but he's very passionate about the things too, and so he gives it from a whimsical, funny, but also very direct perspective. And I've always appreciated that about him. So he takes care of our entertainment section in regard to like editorials for the Oscars. That's like a holiday season for us.
I could see you guys are doing movie reviews currently, right? Gotcha. We're also like the group. We're kind of like keeping an eye on that. We love watching all the nominated films because it's just fun to rag on them sometimes.
Sometimes.
But that's incredible. I feel like I've heard that name before, Dylan McPherson.
He's you have probably heard it before. He's done. I think Anthony did a podcast with him once.
Oh really? Yeah. Okay, that's probably where it was then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh man, that's so great. I just so into everything you're doing. And that's a lot of growth for 2 years, man. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's really great.
I think the growth part comes from it took 2 years to build, but when I first started the Fresh Committee, one of the hardest parts was understanding that you make a lot of mistakes along the way. And for people who don't know this, mistakes for Google are almost unforgivable in some cases. So in the blog sphere or in the media sphere, Google essentially is head honcho, God, whatever you want to call them, right? They determine whether you get seen or not, right? Because people don't use a direct website to get there. They often use a search engine to find out what they're looking for. And so if you don't rank, you just don't get seen.
Fall out.
And so one of the main things for us was always trying to understand, okay, like how do we move around this space, rank for certain keywords, but also make it very organic.
And interesting.
And that was something for me that I know I wanted to change, because if people see us first, it has to be good. You know, I don't want to just be seen first for the purpose of being seen first.
Yeah.
And trying to navigate that is one of the hardest parts of running a website. Is constantly trying to figure out, okay, where's the rankability for this? Is it something that we're actually doing for a passion, or is it something that we're doing for business? Because there are articles on there that we write just because we feel this way.
Yeah.
And there are articles that we write specifically for content and ranking. So finding that balance is something that's really important, especially for me, because I never wanted to make any of the content seem forced. Shout out to my boy Dom, by the way, who is my editor, my staff and chief editor.
Yeah.
That boy is a machine. Like, legit.
I mean, I was looking at the articles, and I feel like a lot of them were edited by.
Dom is literally, I think Dom is, I remember he told me, like, we had this little running joke, like, he's like, I'm going to catch you. Because when he got on, I had like 400 something articles written, by myself. And he was just like, I'm going to catch you. And I was just like, man, I will tell you right now, that's going to be very hard. I've been doing this way too long. But if I sleep for 2 weeks, he might catch me. He might catch me. And so,
oh man.
So yeah, but that, he was a huge addition to the team, especially because he's from UCLA, so he went to school for journalism.
Oh, incredible! That's awesome.
And so that was like, I found him online, and we were, like, I followed him, didn't say anything. I just wanted to kind of see. That's how I usually roll. If I follow you, I won't say anything. Yeah. Just kind of lurk and see how things move. And I read some of his content across the way, and I was just like, yeah, we definitely need to hire this guy.
Awesome,
and so,
man.
yeah, and so most of the people who come and write for us, my main thing is always this. It's just, you have to be passionate about it. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about what you want to talk about. As long as it's not religion or politics, you're good with me. And so you can pretty much post here. So
that's great.
Yeah, that's where we at.
Nice. Incredible. One thing that I heard, and I hope it's okay to talk about this, but you recently got health insurance for your employees.
Yes.
Is that true? Is that rumor accurate?
It's very accurate. It's very accurate. That was
That's
really important.
Awesome. I rarely ever do you hear, because I mean, from the ground up, you're working with a lot of variables, and it's super difficult to fully satisfy the needs of the people that work for you, and that's understandable. Like, it's a labor of love, and there's a lot that goes into it, and it's important to take care of the people that work under you, but also it's also tough. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess talk about that feeling, because I've that's an achievement. That's such a beautiful thing.
Honestly, I cried the night that it happened.
That's so awesome.
For me, it was, especially in these times. Yeah. People go around without health insurance, and that's like, that's walking around without a safety net.
Dude, it's so crazy.
You could get sick, anything can happen, and it's really all out of your pocket.
And you're in debt forever.
Forever. And so, I had been going back and forth with them, pretty much trying to secure health insurance. At first, they only offered me dental, which, that's great. But,
all right.
Like if I'm sick, I don't need my teeth fixed.
Yeah. Okay.
And
that's interesting.
So that was a real battle. And of course, like you said, it really was a labor of love, because I was just like, the only thing that was running through my mind is like, the team needs this. Yes. They need this, and I remember when I initially announced it to the team, a lot of them got really emotional. Even Dom, he was just like, man, godsend, because, certain people just didn't have insurance. That's and so bad. That was, that was a big thing for me to get health insurance for the team, if they needed it or not, because some of the guys have, separate jobs. They're working one or two jobs.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was like, well, if they have health insurance there, they're good. But if they don't, then they're covered here as well. Yeah. And that's so great. I cried big tears that night.
That's awesome.
That was a huge accomplishment for me. To be honest, it means more than a lot of the other accomplishments that I've had. Just making sure that my team is safe, and that we can continue doing the best work of our lives at optimum health.
Yeah.
And if anything
100%.
does hit us, you know, they have the coverage to back themselves up. That was really important to me. So yeah, big cheers.
That is incredible, man. That's like because I grew up just understanding what it was like to not, and like my dad was, you know, he was trying pretty hard to make his own businesses because he hated working for people.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time we didn't have insurance because it's just like that wasn't a possibility.
Yeah.
And I just remembered going to the hospital once when I was like 17 with no insurance, and I had a bill follow me until I was 25 recently, like till last year, and my credit score got tanked because of it. So not only did my insurance, not only did I have to pay that fine, it was like $1,000. I stayed overnight in the hospital. They gave me an IV bag, $1,000. Not only did I have to pay that, they also sent it to a credit bureau or like an agency to find me, to call me and be like, bother me like weekly to pay this bill.
Yep.
And then it also tanked my credit. So I couldn't get a credit card. I had to get like a prepaid thing. I had to actively work to build up my credit for something that I didn't even know was going to happen. And I didn't find out that it was tanking my credit until I was like 22.
Yep.
And I was going to college at the time, and I was like, okay, I'm not even going to college anymore. Like I don't even want to do this. Like I can't imagine what it's like to have actual college fees follow you for that long. And I was like, you know, other reasons as well, but like, it was like, wow, the fact that it works that way and that at any point you could just get like tanked. You're like, like
the system is not designed to help you. And if you don't have health insurance, like I said, it's legit, like moving without a safety net.
Yeah.
And for some people, that's okay. Some people don't use the glove. Some people are just, you know, they're
lucky people, I guess.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, but for us, I think, especially when I got here, you know, I will say I've been more sick in New York than I've been anywhere else. You know, I've always thought I've had a really strong immune system.
Yeah, same.
One of the reasons I moved to Portland, actually, because I have really bad allergies.
Oh, wow.
And it rains a lot in Portland. The rain often takes the pollen out of the air. Okay. And so, you know, it's one of the best experiences because I'm never, ever sick over there. I got over here sick by December. I was like, and not just sick, just like flu ridden. Yeah. I was just like, okay, sucks, yeah, it was pretty bad. So that's when I really, really started to, always had healthcare, but I was just like, okay, super important here.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially here. Too many people, too many ways to shift. And then once the pandemic hit, it was just like, it was a no-brainer. I knew that was primary focus. So
that's really incredible, especially for you know, oftentimes with companies, accessibility is a problem for everyone. You know, it's like, especially those budding companies, the ones that are just starting. For someone who has a lot of you're dependent on a lot of things, especially medication. You can't start anything because like you can't go without health insurance. You're gonna die. Like it's like you know. So accessibility is a problem, and that's beautiful. Yeah, man. Congratulations on that for sure.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, man.
Another accomplishment, of course, lesser in my opinion, but another accomplishment that we've been talking about recently. Because you know, whenever something happens with you or with WAVYPACK, we hear about it at Project FEEL because you know Anthony's like. He loves you guys, a big supporter, and we love what you guys do. But like the Red Bull.
Yes.
I don't even know what's going on exactly, but please talk about that.
Yeah, we recently inked a deal with Red Bull. This goes back to a lot of these things are just, I'm having a lot of full circle moments.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like, you know, like.
Dude, that's my favorite part of life, man. It's my favorite part of life.
It's the best. Yeah. And, you know, to kind of start off, a big full circle moment for me was even just coming back here to New York. Funny thing is, a lot of people don't know this, that I wasn't born in Portland. I was born here in Crown Heights.
Wow. Okay. Oh, in Crown Heights.
Yeah. I was born in Crown Heights in Brookdale Hospital.
Yeah.
Room 201. Only reason I know that is because of the picture that I had when my mom, you know, like just had me. She was behind the door 201.
That's awesome.
So coming here was a full circle moment, but the Red Bull deal happened because of a radio show that we started. So initially when I was running the Fresh Committee, closer to the end after we had sold it, there was roughly about 2 to 3 months where we didn't have anything to do, we could still post. So I started this radio show called TFC Radio.
Okay.
It was just a combination of records and stuff like that I heard from around the way, stuff that you can't find on Spotify, Apple Music. It's like really niche SoundCloud artists, like
random
exactly,
stuff. Okay, cool.
just
That's
mixes, drops, and stuff like that. And so I did 6 episodes of that, and then my time on the Fresh Committee completely came to a close.
Okay.
And so I always wanted to start one back up. So randomly one night I was just like, you know what? We're going to do the radio show tonight.
Okay.
And so
I love that.
it was like 7 o'clock. I put some records together, some from like old TFC shows and stuff like that, and did episode 1. And my boy Swazo that I met at Apple, well, this was like before we even started working at Apple. This was like training. I'd met him. He was one of the first people to embrace me in New York.
Nice.
He invited me to this event called Smooth Things. If you don't know, March 19th, Smooth Things goes down, SNS bar, pull up.
Let's go. Okay, we're there.
Be there. And I had told Swazo about this idea that I was running, and he's a media personality, but he's also like a master of ceremonies. That's what he does. He hosts events and stuff like that. Yeah,
for sure.
His voice is, he has a booming vibrato. And initially when I met him, I was just like, yeah, I need to work with this guy. We knew we were going to work at some point. We just didn't know. So he invited me to a Smooth Things, didn't go. A year later, he invited me again. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to pull up. Yeah. Pulled up, one of the most amazing events that I had ever been to. The feel, the vibe, the people that were there. Everybody just looked out for each other. Shout out to James E. New York and Broquete. They essentially created Smooth Things. Nice. And so we decided to all link up for the radio show. And so it's Swazo as the main host now, and James E. Broquete. They help with the curation of the records because they're actual DJs. They do this every day. This is their
so
life.
They know what's up.
They don't have day jobs. This is like their thing, you know?
That's awesome.
And so it came from that. And I had like a relationship with Red Bull with the Fresh Committee, but you know, over years people change positions, they move out of their positions and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
One gentleman who, you know, we always kept up with was Charlie, and you know, Charlie loves what I do. He's always felt like, man, he went to the Fresh Committee several times and he was just like, man, I was going and there were no posts getting posted and stuff like that. And so he says, like, I went to your Twitter.
Sucks. Yeah.
You know, I went to your Twitter to find out what was going on, and I saw that you had a new link in your bio. And then he's just like, he checked the website. He's just like, oh, the party's over here now. I get it.
Let's go. I love that, man.
And at that point,
God, I love those kind of people.
Yeah, and we pretty much just chopped it up. Yeah. And, you know, he asked me what I needed because I wanted to grow the show.
For sure.
And so the deal was pretty much any of the resources that we need to help grow the show, they're down for.
Man.
And that, you know, and I think I was telling Swazo this the other day. The difference was, and this is what Charlie told me, he's just like, the consistency. Yeah. He's just like, I thought you guys would be done by 4. He's just like, most people, they're gone by 4 or 5, and they're just like, yeah, this isn't for me. I can't.
It's hard.
You guys are 14 in, and you know, that's not a lot for most people. You look at but for me,
that's a lot, man. Yeah. After doing this for around that many episodes as well, it's like, this is like I'm doing this bi-weekly. Yeah. And it's like, I'm thinking about this all the time, all day, every day. Like,
we do this on a weekly
basis. I can't.
Yeah.
I would actually have to be only this not only, but like I would have to really focus on this pretty frequently for that to be efficient, you know?
Yeah. And so we definitely felt like that would be the move. And once they started catching the vibe of like Swazo, and, you know, even Dom told me like when Swazo came on, the vibe of the show completely changed because it wasn't something I wanted to do for myself. One of the things about WavyPack that you'll see, this is actually a rarity because I never post my face.
I don't see you. I this is the first time seeing what you actually look like.
I never, ever post my face because it's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about the conglomerate, the team. Even if you look at the page, we're not listed as a media news publication. We're listed as a community because we're a community of people. And so it's never about just one person. So even when I came here, I was just like, oh man, this is gonna be the first time people actually see who I am, because it was never about posting me or trying to be up in front of everybody or stuff like that. I even told my friend Lou, I want to be the guy with 6 cars that nobody knows about, like that's it. I just want to be in the background, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And so
that's beautiful.
The Red Bull deal was inked because, and I will say this, because of the collaboration with Smooth Things. And we've been working together very closely, Smooth Things and WAVYPACK, to bring a lot of, great new things to the table and new platforms. And yeah, that's essentially what the goal is. But Red Bull kind of, they definitely believe in what we're doing. And so they're just like, let's help you get there.
That's actually incredible, man. Yeah. Again, congratulations on that as well.
Thank you very much.
So many big accomplishments happening recently, huh?
Yeah. I'm not afraid to look uncool, and I'm ready to get on the phone. I'm always on the phone. About. So yeah, that's
what I'm talking about, man. That's super important.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So for that radio show, because I'm curious, and this is my show, so I get to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
For the radio show, is it like, what is the format of it? Is it, because you're talking about records, bringing together records and stuff. Is it like a conversation about those, or you just play them out for the?
Nah, we're literally, so, when I was growing up, the format was always, on late nights, there's a radio show that comes and plays just smooth records. You could enjoy them with your mom, your dad, or whatever like that. Just a safe space to listen to music. That doesn't really exist anymore. In the field of like digital content where there's so much coming at you at once, there really isn't a space for people to just, I know this place does this every Sunday or every Thursday, and I can just kick it for an hour with these guys. And that's what we decided to do. I wanted to do something that felt very old fashioned. Yeah. Like, we started on Thursdays. Then we switched it to Sundays because we wanted to go prime time. Yeah. And so, we said essentially, every night, an hour. We just dedicate an hour of our time to play great records that people, in most cases, may have never heard before. Yes. Because I know these are niche records. And when people hear them,
like stuff you find in a crate like that.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, that was super important to me to bring that platform back. And so that's essentially the format. Very old school. That's awesome. An hour of your time on a Sunday night when you're not doing anything. And we leave it up for a week. So it's up there for 7 days. You can enjoy it.
And that's it?
That's it. It's up for 7 days, and then we take it down.
That is so cool.
And then after we garner 10 episodes, then we post all of them at once. So the last 10 that we did happened 2 weeks ago. So we have episodes 1 through 10 available, with episode, I believe it's 13 for the pre-recorded episode. And if you go on the actual WAVYPACK radio page, it's the current episode, which is episode 14, which is called episode 14, Get Home Safe. So yeah.
So cool, man. Yeah. I'm going to have to check it out for sure. It just, from what I can tell, it's just going to remind me of like, I used to love listening to just like any smooth jazz radio.
Yes.
Like any station, because the voices were so sultry, the people speaking were so fascinating to listen to, and they spoke for just a small amount of time, and then it was just another sick record. Like it was always just back to back, and it always felt so good to just lay back, relax, So and it's funny that you talk about that not really being a thing anymore, because I feel like with our generation and like the internet and how it works now, you kind of listen to what you want to listen to. Yeah. And you don't really have to filter it. You don't have to have somebody bring it to you. Exactly. It's not served to you. It's just there. You bring it, you eat whenever you want to eat, basically. And the days I feel like are kind of missed where you had to go to someone to give you what you needed, you know, and you had to kind of have like a reciprocal relationship to satisfy that like desire. If I want to be entertained, I got to go to a TV show and be ready at this time to watch this show because that's when it airs. Yeah. Or like if I want to listen to great music, I have to get on the radio, turn it up, and give my attention to that radio if I wanted to like
100%
find that music, That's a beautiful thing, and it's about like gathering in that community sense. Like we don't gather together anymore unless it's for like a party or something. Yeah. And when we gather for a party, you're not really gathering. You're just there to like vibe out and like kind of like be in your zone and get drunk or high or senseless,
or all of the above,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And then there's space for that. That's a great time, but I feel like we miss, and I talk about this pretty frequently nowadays, but we miss that community gathering aspect, especially when we stripped away religion and kind of like deconstructed all these systems that we used to have, which was necessary, but now I feel like we got to build something that's communal again, you know, where we can gather up and that's why I feel like things that we do are so important, especially in these communities. And there's a lot of people doing it now, which is great. I love that.
Yeah, and you know, the freedom that comes with it is ironically from taking away control.
Yes.
You know, people have
Dude, I'm literally reading. I'm like reading a book currently before you even got here, and the exact you know, conversation that was being had in the book was about freedom and the contradiction of freedom.
Absolutely, and you know, I thought it was really great for people to kind of lose that sense of control and realizing that, oh wow, there's all this stuff that I'm not listening to, because I know what it was like for me, even listening to music over the past, before we even started the radio show, because that's really like all I listen to now.
Yeah.
Like I literally
awesome.
will run through and then, you know, listen to those songs and find them. But before that, I was living in my recents for music, you know, just
same.
Just the top couple records that I was listening to on Apple
I have
Music.
one album and it has like 30-40 songs and I just listen to that on repeat.
You feel me? And
it's easy.
And that's a great, you know, way to, I guess, listen to music if you're comfortable, but you're not discovering anything new. And my mentor, you know, Brian, who this guy is probably one of the most influential people in my life. He told me something that I'll never forget. He said, "A caged bird knows the air, but not the sky. Don't worry, youngin', because the goal is freedom, not a bigger jail." Yeah. And for me, that's always stuck with me, because you can do things different in so many different ways, but beautiful. It's just how it sticks with you. And so the control part was something that I definitely wanted to take away from the user, to give them that sense of freedom. And from what I'm getting, it's people are discovering a lot of new music because of that. And so it's, you know, and it ended up working.
It's very important. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so funny that, and this is like a, for me as well, it's, we talked about this, but like the full circle moment thing is like this, I'm about to finish this book. And so far the conversation, like and the conversations that I've had the past few episodes have been all very similar in a similar vein, in where what I take away is that message of like the idea of like you know, if you try to swim, if you try to like not sink, you sink, and when you try to sink, you float, you know, 100%. and giving up that freedom, or giving up that control, and learning that things come to you when you're present and you're present minded and you're not trying for the future. You're achieving what's in the present, and the future just comes to you, because that's how time works, you know. And it's a beautiful thing, and I can't wait to tune into this to the show on Sunday. Like I really can't wait. It's very exciting.
It's gonna be fun, and you know, that's the goal, is to constantly make sure that we make it enjoyable. Swazo loves playing new music for people and things that he thinks people are gonna gravitate to. But we also have this, you know, fine appreciation for curation, which, you know, we bring Smooth Things in for that, and their goal is to make sure that it sounds pristine. Yes,
exactly. It's not just like a bunch of random stuff.
Exactly. It's not just a bunch of records just put together.
That's so important.
It has to have some kind of cohesion and consistency. And those boys, they, you know, they're champions of their craft. I always give their flowers, you know, especially when I can. They're good at what they do. I know for a fact that, you know, I've always said that even Broquete, who's one of the youngest members of Smooth Things. I feel like that kid is going to be legendary. If they let him keep up the way that he's going, he's going to take over the world. So,
that's very exciting, man. I love that. There's so much content on your website, and there are a lot of it's like when you first get there, it's like, okay, I can go anywhere right now. I can see anything that I want. If you were a newcomer to your own website, I know that's a hard question to ask, because it's like there's impossible to know exactly what you would do. But if you showed up to the website and you're like browsing, what do you think? What do you think is the first place you'd go to, and why? Like, what is the thing it's like kind of asking about your babies, but like, what would you go to?
The first place I'd go to. That's a really great question, man. Wow. Let me see. I think the first place I would probably go to would be the playlist. You know, because I'm always looking for music, and that was one of the things that for me was like super important. Hold on one second.
You're good. I got you.
So I think one of the most important things for me was finding a safe place for people to help them find new music.
Yeah.
So that would be the first place I would go, and it's called Wave FM.
Yes, I've seen you guys have a ton of playlists.
Yeah,
right?
we have Wave FM is the main WAVYPACK playlist.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And we do 40 songs every 2 weeks, and it's just to help people find, you know, for those people who don't want to sit down for that hour and listen to the radio show and go through the track list. And
that's tough.
You know,
it's a lot.
Yeah, you know, it's a lot. And so we put a lot of those records on this playlist, the ones that can make it on there, you know.
Yeah.
And help people enjoy those kind of things. And so that would be the first place. Second place, editorials. I'm a huge Studio Ghibli fan. I love.
My gosh, stop, dude.
I love all those movies. Spirited Away, you know, like those Howl's Moving Castle is probably my favorite
That's
movie.
probably art. Yeah. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
That's like literally one of my favorite movies of all time. And
so,
I've written several editorials about them, how to find their soundtracks.
Yeah.
So yeah, the editorial section would definitely be the second place I would go. And if I had to give you a full circle, the third place, I would probably just go to the About Me section, because a lot of people go on that website and are constantly asking themselves, like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Like, why did I not know about this website? And so just to give people an idea of what we are, what we do, how we came about, that would be the third place that I would go, because I would just be curious, like, how do you guys have all this content and I've never seen you guys before?
Exactly.
So,
You know?
know?
That's when I got there, I was like, this is really great stuff. It seems like it's obvious that the articles are doing really well. And it's on my feed, like I follow you on my feed, I almost never see that kind of stuff. So it's like, man, I don't even want to get into the whole social media algorithm stuff. But
let me tell you, that's a different story.
Christ,
fighting that algorithm is
that's the good fight right there. That's the one that beats me and rags me every day. Dude.
I tell people all the time, it's just like, yo, the content creation part is easy.
Yeah, creating the art is like, at this point, it's second nature for a lot of us.
It's getting it out in front of everybody, and literally being stopped unless you want to do what we call payola. You know, pay your way up, right? And you can battle it. I've realized there are means and ways to battle it, but you know, you have to. And I stress this, you know, for anybody who happens to be listening to this, is always repost the homies. You know, if that's your boy, that's your girl, that's whatever, always repost the homies. We're not just battling, you know, like principalities or whatever you want to call it. We are literally battling the algorithm. Yeah. And the more you share, the more you engage. If you see Project Feel, you see WAVYPACK, or any of your favorite brands for that matter, the reason you're not seeing them is because you're not engaging with their content.
Yes, exactly.
The more you engage with the content, the more you get to see them, the more it helps that brand. But this algorithm sucks.
It does.
It really does.
It does. It really goes. And it's so crazy because now with this whole invention of the algorithm, to be seen and to get clicks and to get people to respond and to enjoy the art, like you got to almost it almost takes the place of money. It's almost like, don't give me money. Come give me likes. Go on my page, just like everything. Save everything, put it on your story. Like, it's crazy how the commodity is so vastly different.
Yeah, it goes a lot. I've even said it goes a lot further than money can sometimes, you know, because that engagement can, if you do it right, can turn into money. Yeah. And, you know, those little things are so important. So just be sure to support the people that you actually care about if you want to see them stick around. Yeah. You know, that's really, you know, people get upset, you know, they'll look at a brand that they really loved and then find out 5-7 years down the line that brand is closing their doors. And there's a reason. Yeah. You know, they just couldn't, they didn't have the means, they weren't getting the support that they needed, or, you know, something came up. But if you want to see one of your favorite brands stick around, support them any way that you can. And it starts with just liking a photo.
Just engaging, man. Yeah. Actually just engage and checking in too. It's not just liking it when you see it on your feed. It's going like, okay, I'm going to make an active choice to be like, okay, did they post anything? Yeah. How can I support? What did they do? Is there anything entertaining I can like go see today? You know? It's tough out there, dude.
Yeah, it's super tough. It's a rough world, man. You know, being in marketing and things like that. I've always said that, you know, like we said earlier, it's super easy to create the content if that's what you do, you know, and I don't want to take away from any creative, because I know we play a difficult game, you know, creating anything. But once you've done that enough, it is second nature. Now the beast that you face is the marketing thing. It's like, how do we get this? How do we get our art, the stuff that we've worked, toiled, and, you know, stressed so hard for, to, you know, the eyes of people who would even care to see it?
Yeah.
You know? So
100%. Oh man, that's the struggle right now too.
Yeah, man. So.
We're getting there though, man. It's like, especially with Project FEEL, it's all learning. We're all like super new to all of this. So
shout out to you guys. You guys do
that.
such great work. I'm constantly taken away by, you know, like whenever I see the stuff that you guys post. You know, Lifer, some of the stuff that you guys, I featured him on the site as well.
Oh, like that's awesome. I remember that. Yes.
Love, but not only that, the content that you guys share is, you know, very eye-opening from a life perspective. There are certain things that I see, I was just like, wow, that just makes sense. You know, I know they're not just doing this for the sake of just doing it. It makes sense. And for me, that's the first thing that I look at whenever I see somebody trying to do something.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just like, does it make sense? Because if it doesn't make sense, then yeah, I'll support it. But at the end of the day, I don't see it going very far. And sometimes it's not my job to see how far something is going.
For sure, of course.
It's yours, you know.
The future is a weird place.
And I have to believe in you that you're going to take it where it needs to be. But yeah, we're all in that category of fighting the algorithm. But here we are. I love the stuff that you guys do, and I hope that algorithm never stops you guys from, you know, continuing to put out stuff.
I really do appreciate that immensely, for sure. Man, there's so much we could talk about, and thank you for, you know, imparting your wisdom, and also sharing about, you know, talking about the website and what it takes to do that kind of stuff. Yeah, shout out to your team and everything too, man. It's like, you guys, honestly, it's incredible what you guys are doing with the website. It's a beautiful place. And just hearing about it personally makes it that much stronger.
Thank you.
And I know that anybody that watches this is going to be super into what you're doing, and we're going to pay a lot more attention to what's going on that website, the WAVYPACK. The website looks really good, just aesthetically. Yeah. It's like, what did that, like you said, a day? That sounds impossible to me.
You know, so I'm huge on aesthetics. It actually drives me crazy to see that. That is such a great point, and I'm glad that we can actually pull this out. I think what makes WAVYPACK different outside of everything else is how it looks.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
You can go on there and instantly feel comfortable. I've visited so many different sites, and I will tell you guys, nothing against these guys, but go on these other sites, the anxiety that you get, the ads that pop up everywhere, how slow they are, you know, those are things that I wanted to fix from the start. Yeah. You know, and it was something that I said earlier where, you know, WAVYPACK was my opportunity to make a lot less mistakes. With the Fresh Committee, I made a ton of mistakes because it was my first time.
For sure.
You know, so I was marked for a bunch of errors and things on the page, text too small, so many different things come into play when you're building a website.
So many things you would never see come.
Mobile usability, things like that. And so
that's the hard one right there.
Yeah, you know, making sure all of that stuff is right for all of the devices that it may be possibly running on. Yeah. And so I knew for myself, I was just like, I want to create a site that not only looks great, but gives people a sense of clarity. Like, you know, when you go on here, you can find exactly what you're looking for, and a single ad, there's still ads running on the page, but a single ad won't pop up in your face. Yeah. It'd never be obtrusive or anything like that. And when I built it, it was based off of a source code that I had used I was going to use it for the Fresh Committee, but we never ended up using it. And so I repurposed the source code, long night of CSS5 and HTML. And I remember when I finished it, because WAVYPACK, if you look at it, it's a wireframe. Yeah. It's not rocket science. It's a wireframe, and I let the content do all of the speaking. If you take all the content off the site, it's a blank white page with lines. Yeah. That's it. And so it's the content that does most of the speaking, and that was the goal, is to not make the website better than the content.
Yes. Ooh.
Make the content essentially the whole source of the website.
Yes.
And so that's what it is, man. Nice. And I wanted to go with something super minimal. That's why the logo isn't crazy. It's just WAVYPACK and italicized.
That's great.
So that's it, you know. And
looks amazing, man.
I love going on there because of the fact that it doesn't stress me out. And I don't want to take a shot at nobody, but I'll give you guys one. If you go on Hot New Hip Hop right now, I will tell you, you will get off of that website so fast. It'll make your head spin.
I can't wait to do that.
Yeah, and that's what I usually tell people. In contrast, that's what you would look at, and you'll understand what makes that difference.
For sure.
It's just like,
for sure.
Yeah, it'll stress you out.
Just a little bit, right?
A little bit. So yeah, man. But I love the way it looks, and I love the way that we formatted everything. It's the content first, the site second.
Beautiful. Yeah. I love it. That's honestly what's most important. So that's great.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, we're getting to the end of the episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one thing that I love to do towards the end is that first off, you'll tell us what's going on, what you got coming next. I mean, there's always something happening at the WAVYPACK, so that's a lot to say. But if you got any kind of bigger events you want to shout out or anything you want to make everybody aware of, you go for it. And then you'll end us off, if you don't mind, with some words of wisdom if you got any.
Absolutely. Okay, so March 19th.
Yes.
Smooth Things. At SNS Bar.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely pull up. Shout out to Jamesy, Broquete, and Suazo.
Yes.
We're definitely going to have a wonderful evening. So if you can pull up, it's going to be from 9 to 2 a.m.
Nice.
It'll be nice. So be sure to RSVP. We'll have that available on wavypack.com. You can go to Smooth Things. That's SMOOTHTINGS. Smooth Things. And,
let's go. Okay.
Follow them on Instagram. Check them out. Follow us at the WAVYPACK, and we'll definitely try to follow you guys back. Another thing that I would say, let's see, we have a collaboration album coming out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Anthony and I are actually, this is the top secret project. I guess I'll let
let's go.
Out. So I'm working on a collaboration album. It's going to be like a WAVYPACK compilation album. I have this record already. I have several records already done.
Yeah.
But one that me and Anthony are going to shoot a video for is called Black Ranger.
That's cool.
So I'll actually let you hear that record.
Hell yeah, I can't wait.
And so,
you guys can't get that yet.
Yeah. So that's another thing. And then with what we have a lot of me and Suazo have been talking about doing a lot of third-party events and you know doing some get-togethers, getting some people into some spaces, listening parties. Things like that. So, and our first reissue of our magazine drops in June.
Let's go.
So that's going to be, the physical magazine is back. So that's going to be really
that's so
fun.
Exciting, actually.
Yeah, that's going to be really, really
How will people access the physical magazine?
You can order it on wavypack.com. It'll be available in our store. And it's a subscription model. So if you subscribe,
that's what I'm talking about.
You know, you can get
it right there.
as long, and you know, we'll just take care of you from that way.
Awesome.
So we have a few things that I can't say everything.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to, but I can tell that there's a lot cooking.
Yeah, there's a lot we're cooking up. If I say too much, you know, I might get in trouble. But
let's go.
But there's a lot of great things coming up.
Awesome.
I hope you guys come and kick it with us. We'll be at SNS on the 19th. And if you guys ever want to figure out what we're doing, we constantly post on our Twitter. That's at the WAVYPACK.
Nice.
Just to kind of give people, you know, an idea of what's coming up. So yeah. A lot of cool stuff.
That's what I'm talking about. So sick. I didn't know you guys had a Twitter, so I'm gonna go there.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's awesome.
Definitely have a Twitter.
And then if you have any words of wisdom or things you want to share, feelings, whatever you got.
One of the things that I constantly, like Brian, you know, told me this, and it's one of the things that never leaves me. Because of how important, you know, it is. He constantly says that love is rare. So when it's real, be there. And that applies to everything. Your friends, your family, the things that you care about. I love what I do. I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
Yeah.
Every day is a journey. There are a lot of struggle moments. This is not a coast. I wrote this yesterday on the page is never feel like you have to compete with people. You know, you'll see so many people who look like they're coasting in life, right?
Yes.
They just look like
everything's easy.
And, you know, one thing about that is if they look like they're coasting, chances are they're going downhill. And so always be mindful of your own journey. That's the most important part. Do what you can do for yourself. Don't look left. Don't look right. Stay in your lane. Do what you have to do, because the moment you start looking somewhere else, that's the direction you head in.
Keep moving forward, yes.
Yeah, and you'll find yourself, you'll look up finally one minute and you'll be like, how the hell did I get all the way over here?
I feel you.
Paying attention to your lane. So
I feel you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for being here, Max, and thank you for imparting all of your knowledge and your words, and yeah.
Thank you guys for having me.
For sure, of course.
I love what you guys do. I'm constantly checking you guys out as well. Shout out to my boy Anthony.
Let's go. Shout out to Ant.
You know, and setting this up and everything like that. And I love what you guys do. I'm
thank you.
Excited to be here and excited to be a part of like whatever you guys got going on. I would love to help any way that I can, man.
We appreciate that immensely. Absolutely. We really do. And likewise.
Blessings, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
let's
Thank
go.
you.